Hey everybody, we're back with another Christmas movie review. This one's gonna be fairly short. This is a movie I've watched as a kid a lot. You know, going as far back and when I had this at home, it was on a VHS tape. That's how young I was. But I watched this a lot as a little kid. Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. It's a very charming three-parter story. Each mini-part story centered around different Disney characters. Uh, each one being narrated by Kelsey Grammer, who has like a very nice voice for this kind of thing. And so the first part, it centers around Donald, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, and them celebrating their Christmas. And of course, the boys super excited it's Christmas. They rush down, open up their presents, and of course, this upsets Donald because you're supposed to wait for the family, but then again, what family on Christmas morning don't go down there and open up presents on Christmas morning? Why the hell do I have to wait until Ariel shows up by the afternoon or at the most noon to show us so we can open up presents in front of everybody? Like, I'm not waiting. It's like, why would I expect the kid to wait? Unless the family comes up in that morning. But it's never specified, how long they waited until the family shows up. It seems fairly quickly, but it's like, I get the boys' sentiment. It's like, all right, I'm not going to wait. I wouldn't make my kids wait for people to show up eventually to the house. That seems ridiculous. They can just show them what they got. Or at least if they wanted to do all that, they should have spent the night over their house so they can have a big family Christmas opening, present opening in front of everybody that way. That's what they should have done. Anyway, you see Uncle Scrooge, Daisy, Aunt Gertie, who I never recognized from any of the Disney, cartoon shorts. Honestly, this is the only time I actually see her in anything, to be honest. I could be wrong. I probably did see her and stuff, and I just didn't retain it. But she's not one of those kind of standout Disney characters, that you could just point out. So the kids are having fun. Donald showed them the not sleighs, but sleds for the boys. They quickly grab them, run out to play with it, without even bothering to read the Christmas card was left. Because to be honest, kids that age in general wouldn't necessarily be interested in reading a card until maybe later. They want to just get into the stuff they want. This is kind of understandable. I mean, it's like I speak on the perspective of a person who's been in that point, but it's like you get it. But adults try to shame you for not reading a card when it's unless you got money and you don't necessarily care what it says. But as you got older, you learn to appreciate to read the card. But even then, as an adult, you don't not necessarily care. You probably care a little bit more than you did as a kid, but not as much. But I guess it's get a little more sentimental as you get older. But it's time to eat dinner. They're pigging out on Daisy's cooking, which, by the way, I always thought it was so weird. They're ducks eating turkey, another bird. Isn't that cannibalism? Or not cannibalism, but it's you know what I mean. It's kind of weird. One bird eating another bird. It's I can't think of no other word but cannibalism. And they don't have any. Well, I say they don't have any teeth, but every so often you see them with teeth, just for usually comedic effects. But anyway, I'm nitpicking at that point. So the adults are singing carols, and while the boys just want to play with their toys, they don't really worry about playing with it, singing any Christmas carols with the family. Then it's time for them to go to bed. The boys go to bed. They're having a great time. It was a great Christmas for them, and they make a wish upon a star to have Christmas again, which is granted. So it's like Groundhog Day. The time loops. So now the day goes at the exact same way as the day previously. Now, of course, this is based off an old story called Christmas Every Day, a short story written back in 1892 by William Dean Howells. And so the boys are ecstatic. Oh, we're going to have fun with Christmas again. But it's like they didn't piece it together until after a few days that it's exactly, you don't get new gifts. You get the same gifts. You get the same dinner. You get all the antics that everybody else outside of the you three, they do the exact same thing. And it gets very tiring. The boys are starting to lose it. So they decide, okay, we're going to do something to liven things up. So they pull off all these pranks just to shake things up. But they realize the utter destruction they end up causing ruins everybody's Christmas. And then it's when they start to read the card showing, with Daisy and Donald written on it, expressing how Christmas means more about family than with the gifts, essentially, and spending time with the ones that you love. And so the next day they decide to, make Christmas better for everybody. So they're up earlier than Donald making breakfast this time. They, while before hesitant on giving Aunt Gurry any Christmas kisses because she's like slobbering over everybody, they jump on her to give her kisses themselves. They help Daisy with the cooking dinner instead of going out in the middle of the snow to play all day. They encourage Uncle Scrooge to start with the caroling early, but Donald, getting suspicious, demands what they are up to. They show Donald what they were up to. They took the sleds that were meant for them, reconstructed to be a big boat for Donald, who likes sailing, which I don't know how they know anything about carpentry, but whatever. And so, they had like a even better Christmas because they made Christmas better for everybody, and they wasn't thinking about themselves. So the time loop ends, and they learn about appreciating Christmas and what it gave to you, because Christmas can't always be here. That's what makes it so special every time it comes around. It's just same with any holiday. It's like, I love Halloween, but I can't have Halloween all the time. Same thing with like Valentine's Day or like 4th of July. You can't have those every year because they use their, you lose what was special about them. Then you go off to the second segment where it's Goofy and Max. And this is kind of like a unique thing because not very often you see Max as a young kid. More often than not, because this is kind of, as it states, and like the facts of the information behind the movie, this part works chronologically with Goof Troop TV series and the Goofy movie. So normally we see Max either as a teenager or as a young adult. We never see him as a young kid. And to this day, we never know who Max's mom is. You would like to say Carabelle because it's like, Goofy cartoon shorts, there's, Carabelle is a cow, which, funny enough, I remember Carabelle more often than I do Gertie. Because, so often you see in those old Disney shorts, Goofy and Carabelle had a thing. Even though he's a dog and she's a cow. But you never bring that up ever again. Nobody ever brought that up ever again. And to this day, I would like to know who the hell Max's mom is. If it's Carabelle, just say it so. But I think they didn't want to get into all that because it wouldn't make any sense logically to have a cow and a dog make another dog. Or a half cow dog half breed, which that'd be freaking weird and hard to explain. Anyway, they rush to go mail their letter to Santa because he wants, Max wants this tricked out snowboard. And then, upon hearing from Pete, who lives next door to them, telling Max that there's no such thing as Santa Claus, which distrusts Max because, every young kid who gets one of those kind of asshole people to come tell them to try to shatter their childhood in one fell swoop just to be a dick. Like, don't ever do that to children. Let them be kids as long as, just because you might tell your kid whether or not Santa exists, that's your business. But don't go have them, just make sure you have them to keep to yourself. Not every kid wants to hear this. Not every parent wants their kid to have this. Keep to yourself. Let them find out on their own pace. Blah, 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 blah. But it takes a special kind of asshole to just shatter. Unless the kid asks you point blank, because a certain time kids grow up and they want to know the truth. You just give them to them straight. However, which way you want to give it to them. Don't treat them like an idiot, and don't also shatter their childhood at the same time. Work that balance. So Pete, shatter Max's imagination and whimsy of Christmas. And then Max goes to his father and start asking him all these questions that children at this point would be typically would be asking. How does reindeer fly, and how did he travel all in one night? And Goofy gives all these little answers. It doesn't make logical sense, but they're answers. But then they go off to, because they're cooking this massive dinner to bring over to people less fortunate, this family less fortunate, which shows Goofy's charitable side. And because as Goofy is, he's just got the biggest heart. His heart is always in the right place. And then Max very narrowly makes that ignorant decision by passing on that same despicableness that Pete put on him, and try to put it on this little kid from this less fortunate family. Luckily that didn't happen. But then Goofy shows up, dressed as Santa, try to bring cheer to these children, but Max ends up taking the beard off, and everybody's the kids freaking out and everything like that. And then Max is distraught because he thinks he's I'm just being lied to. And of course Goofy tried to cheer Max up. Is now nothing he's doing is working, so he decided to stay up all night on Christmas Eve to prove that Santa exists. Now this result in him mistaking a burglar on top of Pete's house for Santa until the cops show up very fast. And this puts Goofy in a funk, which kind of switches the whole emotional weight around to now Max is trying to do everything in his power to cheer up his father, who's depressed. And so Max decides to dress up like Santa to re-inspire Goofy. But this Goofy quickly finds out that's Max, and he just wants to make his father happy. But then Santa eventually shows up and jumps down the tricked out snowboard and put all the snow that's on Goofy's side the property over to Pete's side of the property because Pete's a asshole. And like you hear like Pete like I believe you all along. So where are my presents? For my skirty gun and my yo-yo. It's like, fuck your skirty gun and your yo-yo, you piece of shit. Like nobody likes Pete. He's just like Bluto from Popeye. You should just be like just an overall dick for no reason. And Max asks like, what did his father ask for Christmas? And Goofy just points out to him like, every year I make the same wish, and every year I get it. I wish for your happiness. And it's like, they hug, and and it goes up to the next segment with Mickey and Minnie doing a reimagining of the Gift of the Magi story written by O. Henry. So, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people at least know in general the Gift of the Magi, but I think it was like a good idea to have Mickey and Minnie in this circumstance because that would make more sense than any other character, because these two are one of the most iconic couple in pop culture. So they usually, this is probably the only time that I see like Mickey and Minnie look like they're in like dire straits financially, but more often than not, they look like they're definitely middle class and doing fairly well for themselves. Mickey got this golden harmonica, at least not like real gold, but because it wouldn't play right, but a very fancy harmonica, while Minnie has this golden locket and with a timepiece on it. And they both work hard trying to get some extra money because Mickey wants to get this necklace that would match perfectly with Minnie's locket, while Minnie wants to get this fancy harmonica case for Mickey's harmonica. She expecting Mortimer the mouse, another slimy Disney creep, to give her like a Christmas bonus because she works at this mall as a gift wrapper. And instead of a Christmas bonus, which is kind of expected from a lot of businesses, but it's like, kind of one of those stories where it's back in the day, businesses didn't really truly appreciate their employees like that. Of course, you got unions nowadays, so that kind of crap wouldn't fly. So he gives her like a fruit cake as a bonus. And then Mickey works for Pete's Christmas tree lot, and he's working his butt off to make extra coin to afford the necklace, and he had to make it there by 5 o'clock before it closed. Of course, Pete's trying to swindle this family out like a lot of money to get them to buy these 10-footers of trees, which they obviously can't, make like afford it like that. And but Mickey comes in, say like, oh, I found this reasonable size tree. It's a fairly reasonable price that hasn't been pre-ordered yet, so you can take this. And of course, they end up buying it at a reasonable price. Pete, which you really, even as a kid, I knew like this is not allowed. Like you just can't take somebody else's money off your hands because you lost out. So he takes Mickey's pocket money to reimburse himself for like losing out on a potential sale, which is kind of like an extra dickusness. But then he puts out his cigar and it causes like a big fire that, sends all those 10-footers up in flames. So Mickey eventually meets up with the owner of the shop and ends up trading his harmonica for the necklace, while Minnie trades her locket for the harmonica case. And of course, it ends with them presenting each one with the gift they intended for the particular item. But it didn't matter to them because it just proves the love they have for each other and the thought behind the intended gift that meant a whole lot more. And that's where that particular story ends. And it's like each segment is really good, but I think I like Donald's segment a little bit more. But Goofy is pretty good too. But like, I never was like a huge fan of the Gift of the Magi type of storyline. Not that it's bad, but I never find it entertaining. But I get the sentiment. But it's and of course the entire movie ends with each of the segmented characters come together to sing like Jingle Bells, Dr. Halls, and We Wish You a Merry Christmas. There was a sequel, Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas. Don't know if I'm ever going to review that because I to this day I still remember never really caring for the stories and his CGI animation. And not that I hate that style, but it's just like, I don't know, the 2D hand drawn animation in this I thoroughly enjoy. I think it works exceptionally well for Mickey Mouse cartoons. Not to say like the CGI animation doesn't work. It just doesn't work all the time in my opinion. It just all depends on the intended narrative. But yeah. But we'll say, I don't know. I never say never, but it's like for now I don't really think of putting it on the list for next year. But I really want to talk about Once Upon a Christmas because I still to this day remember the movie very fondly as a kid because I played that movie tons of times as a kid, especially around the holiday when I got it because I thoroughly enjoyed each segment though. Less so with the last one, but I still had some enjoyment out of it. But it's on Disney Plus, so you can check it out yourself and let me know what you thought of Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas. Have you watched it as a kid? Did you remember it fondly? Which segment was your favorite? Which one was your least favorite? And follow me on links in the description below. Hit that like button and hit that notification bell. I will be back with another Christmas comic book review, and it's going to be relatively short, but I'll be up in just a few